What about the alt-left that came charging at the, as you say, the alt-right? Do they have any semblance of guilt?
What? What the hell is the alt-left?
You know, it's funny that you should ask that question in such a mystified way, given that you're going to quite clearly provide us the answer in just a moment.
We've been increasingly using the terms alt-right and alt-left since the violent protests in Charlottesville. But what are we really saying when we use them?
Well, in general terms, they refer to the extremist ends of both the right and left schools of social and political thinking. We could just as well be saying right-wing extremists and left-wing extremists, but you know, we do only have 140 characters to work with these days.
The term alt-right is a rebrand of a series of hate groups: neo-Nazis, the Ku Klux Klan, and white supremacists. And their followers got to name themselves.
I would agree that that is an accurate list of groups that would be included under the umbrella term alt-right. But...
and their followers got to name themselves.
So, a term for a way of thinking is only valid if it is invented by someone who agrees with that way of thinking? Did you know that the term Big Bang was made as a phrase of mockery against what is now a very popular scientific theory? Did you know Obamacare was coined in order to mock healthcare reform? I wonder if my viewers can think of any other terms or labels created as jest or criticism that ended up sticking or even being adopted by the targets of such. If so, please leave them in the comments below.
The alt-left is mostly a term designed to provide false equivalency with the alt-right.
False equivalency. Very well. What is falsely equivalent between the alt-right and the entirely mythical alt-left?
And the group as it's known now was named by its opponents.
Again, how does that disprove the existence of left-wing extremist groups?
Alt-left really gained popularity when Fox News host Sean Hannity used it last year.
Did anyone in the mainstream media make use of the term alt-right before Hillary Clinton popularized it during the presidential campaign? And are you saying it is unjustified to draw comparisons between extremist groups on either end of the spectrum?
Hannity and alt-righters use the term alt-left as a catch-all for groups like Black Lives Matter, Occupy Wall Street, and Antifa. But those movements are not hate groups.
Black Lives Matter and Antifa are not hate groups. Members and affiliates of Black Lives Matter have not made threats against or taken the lives of police officers? Black Lives Matter has never targeted people for violence based on their race.
Hey, they beating up every white person. They jumping every white person. Man, no white person come down Sherman. He white. Beat this shit, bitch. That's what it's for.
Black Lives Matter leaders have never promoted notions of racial superiority or inferiority. Antifa have never targeted or attacked people using violence based on opposing belief or ideology.
Oh, I'm gonna hurt you. You have a mask on. Oh, motherfucker. Oh, shit, he's bleeding. Yo. Hey, man. He's bleeding. Hard.
Splinter, you cannot be serious.
Whereas alt-right groups and white supremacists are. According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, which tracks this stuff, all hate groups have beliefs or practices that attack or malign an entire class of people, typically for their immutable characteristics.
Black Lives Matter has never maligned white people. They have never maligned or attacked police officers merely on the basis of their affiliation with a public institution. Antifa have never maligned or attacked people based on either their race, appearance, or political ideology. These things have never happened, nor have they been promoted or celebrated by either group. Got it.
Take the KKK, for example. They've targeted black people, immigrants, Jews, and the LGBTQ community just for existing.
Take Black Lives Matter, for example. They have targeted police and white people just for existing. Take Antifa, for example. They have targeted Trump supporters and journalists just for existing.
The man who drove his car into a crowd of counter-protesters in Charlottesville and killed Heather Heyer was a white supremacist. This man committed an act of terror.
The sniper who shot and killed 5 Dallas police officers was a black supremacist. This man committed an act of terror.
Nonetheless, these hate groups are being compared to groups like Black Lives Matter, as if they were the same thing.
They are two sides of the same extremist coin.
I think there's blame on both sides, and I have no doubt about it, and you don't have any doubt about it either.
Why has the Black Lives Matter movement not been classified yet as a hate group? I mean, how much more has to go in this direction before someone actually labels it as such?
That is a very good question. Calling for the deaths of police because they are police, attacking people because of their race, publicly calling people subhuman and genetically inferior based on their race? How does any of that not qualify Black Lives Matter as being a hate group?
Let's be clear. The mission of the Black Lives Matter movement is not to vilify an entire group of people.
It isn't? Well, would you classify police as, quote, an entire group of people, unquote? Would you classify white people as an, quote, entire group of people, unquote? And P.S., I know white people is a demographic and not a group, but try telling Splinter that.
It's about the simple idea that black people are worthy of human life, rights, and recognition, and that, in the words of activist Alicia Garza, when black people get free, everybody gets free.
When black people are free. Oh, so Barack Obama, President of the United States for 2 terms, was a slave that entire time, was he? Wow, I am learning something new every day.
Another group lumped in with the deceptively named alt-left is Antifa, which is short for anti-fascism. Members of the Antifa movement want to fight, sometimes literally, against racism, fascism, and an overbearing government they believe to be controlled by elites.
Wow, sounds awfully paranoid and conspiratorial. But now, Splinter, are you about to give cover to the idea of violence as an acceptable form of political protest? Can even you be that tone deaf?
While there's legitimate moral concern about using violence as a tactic, this group isn't classified as a part of the 917 hate groups the SPLC has identified within the U.S.
Stop. So Antifa may indeed be a violent, militant political movement, but since the Southern Poverty Law Center hasn't classified them as a hate group, then what? It's all good? The SPLC is the one true arbiter of what is and is not a dangerous organization. You have got to be kidding me, Splinter.
If nothing else, the alt-right was created by white supremacists for white supremacists, while the so-called alt-left has been used by these same supremacists to try to create the idea of a comparable group on the left. There's not.
Yes, Splinter, you're right. There is no violent, racist hate groups on the left. Despite all of the riots, and destruction, and broken bones, and dead bodies to the contrary, it just doesn't exist. There is no problem. Nothing to see here. By all means, Splinter, keep giving cover to and making apologies for extremists, because it tells all of us under which category we need to consider you when those you defend enact the indefensible. As always, thank you for watching.